My name is Arthur Touchot and we're at the Pace Gallery here in Geneva with one of the most incredible collections ever assembled by a man who knows a little bit about the industry. Please welcome Jean-Claude Biver. How are you?
Fine, thank you. And you?
Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
We're going to take a look at the watches that are part of your collection. Some
Yes.
of them tell stories of your career. But first, we want to know what's on your wrist today.
On my wrist there's always the same watch. It's the bigger bang from Hublot, 2005. And it's the watch that brings me luck and success and happiness.
So you've been wearing it a lot.
That's why I wear it all the time. I've been wearing it since 2005, and it has given the direction of the entire Hublot collection.
And this is a prototype, right? This
It's
is
a
not production
prototype. After this prototype, we made, I think, 20 pieces, which we sold as a limited edition, and it's done. So it has a great history, and I will never. It will always stay on my wrist.
This is a part of the collection forever.
It's part of me.
We're going to take a look at some of the pieces earlier in your career.
Starting, of course, with AP. I was there at the development of the Royal Oak. I was there when Genta designed it. I was there when Genta designed Nautilus, when we felt a little bit upset because we believed that the Nautilus was an inspiration of the Royal Oak.
And what's pretty incredible about this piece is that, of course, today everyone knows the Royal Oak. It's one of the most popular, most well-known designs. But when you joined Audemars Piguet in 1975, it isn't that yet.
No,
and that's your first big challenge in the watch industry, right? Is to make this popular.
The big challenge was to sell the first disruptive watch in luxury. And in those days, it was selling not at all in Japan. It was selling not so well in America. It was selling well in Italy because they were avant-garde thinking. It was okay in Switzerland and it was okay in France, and that's it. So we really pushed the Royal Oak to become a kind of a leader of our collection, which finally the watch did. When I see it now on this tray, you can see how slim it is.
Right.
It's extraordinarily slim.
The jumbo, the first one was
incredibly slim. And that is the sign of luxury. Then I left for Omega. By the way, this is an Omega watch, which I received when I was 8 years old from my grandfather, when I did my first communion, as a Catholic, well-established family. The children used to get a watch for the first communion when I was 8. Then it went to the safe till I was 18. 10 years later, I could wear it.
So do you think this is the first watch that really influences you and
yes, it influenced me, especially that I lost it. So it was a double influence. First, I got it when I was 8. Then I had to wait 10 years till I could wear it. And then I lost it on the glacier of Les Diablerets, where I was skiing with the watch, which was totally stupid of mine. But when you're 18, you are entitled to be stupid. The problem is, don't be stupid when you are 60. Make all the mistakes when you are young.
And what's incredible is that Omega is the brand that you joined after leaving
in 79.
Right.
Then in 79, I became product manager for the gold department. And that is one of the first bracelet watch which my team and myself designed. And I tried to make a strap bracelet that is like a strap. And when I see it now, how flexible it is, it's just extraordinary. And I think we should do this bracelet again. It's like we tried to make a gold bracelet that handles like leather, a leather strap.
Yeah. And so this, of course, is when a lot of brands, including Omega, are starting to look at quartz technology.
Yes.
So you join at an interesting time for the watch industry.
Yes. It was a very interesting time. And what you can see on this watch is the absence of a crown.
Right.
And the watch had on purpose no crown because we believed in those days that quartz never needs to be adjusted because it's extremely accurate. So there's only a little pusher which you could push, and that's it. It was not a very big success because people refused to have a watch without a crown. Because a watch
just doesn't feel like a watch.
It doesn't, exactly. So it's very strange.
Then you go to Blancpain. Well, you don't go to Blancpain. This is your first big move as a watch entrepreneur. You acquire Blancpain.
Yes, in 1981, I am 32 years old. And we buy the brand Blancpain for 21,500 Swiss francs, which is very inexpensive. Right. But why is it so inexpensive? Because we bought nothing. We bought just the right to have the name.
Yep.
There was no factory, there was no office, there was no collection, there were no employees, there were no contracts, and the brand had gone out of business in 1960. Yep. So it had been 21 years without any exploitation, without any nothing. So we bought just the name, Blancpain. We started Blancpain from scratch. And the first year we produced 97 watches.
At the time, so you're young, you're fearless, you're part of this new hippie generation that brings new values to business. Do you think that helped you in any way?
Of course, it helped me. Yes, it helped me. The whole hippie movement was an asset for me. It helped me to go back, as I said in those days, to go back to the future, to go back to eternity. This is a piece of eternity, not only in the design, but also from the mechanics. A mechanical watch will always work. It's like Big Ben in London. Art is eternal, and watchmaking art is also eternal.
You're also, at heart, a watch enthusiast, a watch lover. And so at one point, later on in your life, you start collecting pieces that are maybe outside of the brands that you managed. So can you tell us, when did you start collecting and why did you turn to Patek Philippe?
I start collecting maybe 30 years ago. Why do I collect? Because I'm a passionate of watches. I'm not just passionate about my brand. That would be too extreme, you know. I limit it. And you have to see all the spectrum. Right. And I decided to collect. And the first, or the major brand I collected was Patek Philippe. Right. Because it was also my first competitor in 1975. And I always had a respect, I always had admiration of Patek for their history, for their art, and for the family, the Stern family. I have quite a good relation to them, and therefore I started to collect Patek. And I collected at Patek the watches that I liked first with my eyes, and then secondly, some watches that are making history, you know, like this first prototype.
Yeah, we have some incredible pieces here.
Yeah.
This is a Heure universelle in a reference 96, so in a small Calatrava.
Extraordinary, you know, and it's prototype number 2. Right. There have been 2 prototypes, that's the second one. So this is a piece of history. It's not necessarily a piece I would wear, it's a piece of history. So there are pieces I bought for the history, and then there are pieces I bought for my eyes and for the beauty, the exceptional beauty, like this 1518 in rose gold. When I see it now, it is just a miracle.
Yeah, no, it's one of the most beautiful pieces I've ever made.
Yeah, I think it's one of the most, it's the most beautiful watch I have ever seen. And even today now I see it. And the color of the dial is just amazing.
And here we have a 2499. So
which is also not bad, but it's
that's one way to put it.
You will see one characteristic in my Patek collection is the outstanding quality.
Right.
I have bought quality, the extreme quality, the obsession of quality. And now that I see them again, I must confess, the quality is outstanding.
Right, the hallmarks are extremely
crisp. Cannot be better. It, as you said, it comes out of the factory. It's 50 years old, but in a condition like new. Same here. That's a chronograph, spider legs.
Right.
In platinum, I think 2 or 3 pieces are known. It's a very, 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 wow, look the quality. The quality is just amazing.
So you said you look at watches with your eyes, and then you look for quality.
Yes. Eyes and quality. And then sometimes I look for the history. Like this one, this is a historical piece. Right. It's part of the history. I also bought one day, like a lunatic, just for the eyes, because I love the enamel. And you know, Geneva is the capital of enamel, not only capital of watches, also enamel. And here you have the lake, right, with the famous boat. And here you have again La Rade, the lake, and you can see the Patek Phillipe building.
Yeah, just next to us, right there.
Next to us. And I said, wow, on the 2 sides. And because it represents Geneva, the capital of watches, the home city of Patek, and enamel, the capital of enamel, which is Geneva, I said, this is the watch I must have.
Yeah. So this was sur un coup de tête, as they say.
Sur un coup de tête, and it was also a price sur un coup de tête. I didn't follow the price. I followed my irrationality. This is, yes. Sometimes you follow irrationality. Sometimes you follow a dream, you make the dream come through. And then you have a kind of accomplishment. It's happiness. Dreams are making me happy.
Talking about quality, now we're going to a bit of a different part of your collecting, which is independent watchmakers. And I believe these are people that you've become quite close to, that you've become friends with, that you know.
You know, it's important to support the independent. The independent are bringing fresh air, they're bringing innovation, they're bringing a lot of exclusivity, and we need them. And because I love my job, and because I'm a passionate of the watch making art, I'm of course also passionate about all these artists. Right. And I have a special relation with Philippe Dufour, because I worked with him at AP in '75. Yeah. He was at AP. So we were together. He was a watchmaker, I was in the management. When he became independent and when he made the simplicity, I thought I should also have one.
Yeah.
And
this is an extremely rare pink gold version.
Yeah, it's wonderful. Then I have my good friend François-Paul Journe, who I admire a lot, who I respect a lot. I even gave him some advice in the very beginning when he started.
Do you remember what the advice was?
Many advice. Before he became independent, I told him what would be the difficulties, where he should go. He should have a kind of a message. He should have always the same aesthetic look, which he has. And I encouraged him to become independent. Then I have here Recep.
So Recep is often compared to or
Philip.
He's often said, yeah.
So I have both. And this is a phenomenal, unbelievable watch, because it's platinum #1. So it's #1. And what is extraordinary and highly emotional is that I wanted to buy the watch, but finally it was offered to me by friends from the trade. And it was Michael and Henry Tay, who during one evening on my 70th anniversary came with a present. And I opened the present, and it was this watch. And I said, I cannot believe it. And it's #1, and it's engraved for me. That was an incredible present.
Yeah, I can only imagine.
I will never forget it.
Now, some other special pieces, and I think for this, I want to invite a young man who's been standing just behind the camera, your son, Pierre. Pierre, can you please join us?
Yeah, this is...
Pierre.
Without Pierre, I wouldn't have bought these watches. Ciao Pierre.
Salut Gauvin.
Ça va? Hein?
Ça va et toi? When I started working for Phillips, I was mentored by someone in London who is very passionate for Daytonas, especially 16520s. And I started really enjoying these watches, and I soon found a very interesting connection between the way he used to collect, or he still collects, and what they represent. So these 3 watches, which you've recently bought,
thanks to you.
thanks to me, yeah, have something also very interesting, is that they're, correct me if I'm wrong, Arthur, but Mark II bezels, as we'd call them, with the 225 marking.
Right, with 225 tachymeter bezels, yeah. So very early on in the production of Zenith Daytonas, and it's a detail that is very appealing to collectors. And so you have 3
All the
different
3.
variations.
And
It's rare to have all the 3, huh?
It's quite rare. Maybe you're the only one who owns all 3. What's interesting also is that, as you said, they were very early on, and this run of 225 bezels, as we call them, is a very small production run. Right. And at that time, Rolex really wanted to hit the right design. So they would go out to retailers and ask, what are your clients saying? What are the returns? Do they like this bezel better? Do they like this dial better? And so with these 3 watches, you see 3 different examples of dials, and this bezel represents their quest to perfection, which suits perfectly your way of collecting and your way of approaching high-end watches.
And another bezel I love
Very different
is
bezel.
a very different bezel. And this I love. I still love it. I love it because I love the colors. And color are bringing happiness. Color are bringing joy. And here, the colors.
So it's the Rainbow Daytona.
The Rainbow Daytona.
The pink gold Rainbow Daytona.
Which I wear quite often. And people are sometimes a little bit surprised to see me wearing this watch.
What do they typically say?
They say, we didn't expect you to wear a diamond watch. I said, why not? Diamonds are not only for women. I mean, you must be open-minded. Yeah. What is special here is the rainbow and the quality of the stones. Yeah. The quality is, you couldn't find better.
I wondered, do you often talk about watches? Is this something that you've always been passionate about?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in a household where probably once or twice a week we had clients coming over, or yes. Industry. I remember even having Aurel coming and Livia to the house a few times when I was younger. My first watch memory is quite interesting because when I was small, I used to wake up really, really early, like 5 in the morning, and he's very known to be always awake at that time. So he would, on the Saturday morning, he would be the only one awake. So I would go down in his office, and he had a little Blancpain box with all his watches kind of tossed in there. Wow. And I would just play around. There was some Daytonas, there was some GMTs, some Submariners. I was turning the bezels around and everything. Like, our watch relationship is a relationship of its own, right, apart from the father and son relationship. Mm-hmm. So it makes it even better.
And we share a passion for watches, which gives me only one regret, that I couldn't made a brand with my name or our name, and have Pierre as my assistant, but it might come. You could. It might come. Yeah, my life is not there at the end.
If that happens one day, I'll be able to say I learned with the best.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm only 71, so I have another 30 years to live.
Yeah.
So in 30 years, we have time to make a brand.
Is that something that you've thought about in the past?
To make a brand?
Yeah.
I thought when I bought Blancpain that it would be my brand forever. Mm-hmm. I didn't think we would sell it one day. Now Blancpain has been sold. I don't have regrets that I sold it, but I still have a dream. Mm-hmm. A regret and a dream is not the same. The regret is heavy. Mm-hmm. The dream is light. And my dream is to have one day a brand with my son or with my family.
Absolutely. Talking about family, I know that the last tray that we've got watches that belong to family members. I think some are your mother's pieces.
Yes. This gondola right here from Patek Phillipe, which I believe has a very special story, because it was gifted to my mother by my father in 2013. It's a watch that was originally produced in 1913, so it was offered on its 100th birthday to my mother. And I think you're...
Not the 100th birthday of the mother,
no,
the 100th birthday of the watch. Again, it's eternity.
Yeah.
You know?
So it's
That's
a
a proof
gondolo.
of eternity, the gondolo. You can offer a gondola to your wife in 2012, which means 100 years later, you can offer a watch that is 100 years older. And I found it extraordinary that I could offer a watch from 1912 in 2012. Mm-hmm. Wow.
And so we have a few more pieces here.
Yes, this is one I bought at Only Watch. It's a unique piece from Patek. Mm-hmm. And
this is the first Only watch.
And I asked Phillips and Thierry Stern to sign the guarantee on the name of Pierre. Oh. So it is not my watch. This is Pierre's watch.
Yeah, indeed.
It is in my safe, but it belongs to Pierre. Then I have the very last one, which I love because I'm very sensitive for nature and protecting animals and nature and the sea. And that's the last Hublot rhinoceros watch, where we donate a big part of the turnover to save rhinoceros.
Quite interestingly, here we have a watch which is the first ever vintage Rolex you bought. And
yes.
I'm talking about this because this watch has a Bakelite bezel, which was the first generation of GMTs that are now in ceramic. And that has a fun story where, tell me if I'm wrong, but you bought it for my mother.
Yes, the bakelite. I love the bakelite bezel.
And due to its fragility, well, even though it was bought for her, she doesn't get to wear it that often.
No.
To see the collection in person, you can come to Geneva between November 7th and November 10th at La Réserve. We'll be hosting a retrospective of Mr. Biver's career before the watches go on an international tour until the spring of 2020.